Hey everybody, it's my 40-gallon purple spotted gudgeon tank, although now that I'm looking, I don't actually see my gudgeon in there at the moment. He's probably in the back somewhere. But that's not what this video is about. Oh, there he is. He's hiding down here in the edge along the side there, if you can see him. What this video is about my temple plant, or hygrophila, swampweed as I like to call it. And I don't know how it still has aphids on it, but it still has aphids on it. If you look at these leaves right here, as all curled up and deformed as they are, that's what got me looking. And of course, all you have to do is look at it even remotely closely, and you can see all of the aphids all over the stems. And I've got deformed leaves in the back. So this thing has aphids all over it. Again, I don't know how. You know, I'm not new to plants. I'm not new to gardening and insects and pests. Aphids are a familiar old foe. I've just never experienced aphids that just won't stop. And I don't know how they even got on this plant. This plant started out submerged and grew up and out of the tank, and somehow it got aphids on it. And I had the temple plant in my waterfall tank. I wound up removing most of that because that had aphids all over it. They got on the piece of temple plant that was in the foot tank at the base of my waterfall tank, so I wound up cutting the whole top section of that off. Everything that was above the water I cut off, and fortunately there's a lot of new growth developing on that big stem under the water, so I will get more temple plant growing from that, and it's not like I've got any shortage of it. I just don't know how these aphids keep getting on the temple plant, and it just seems to be only on the temple plant. They don't fly, and they really need to be sort of contact to contact. They will migrate. If you've got a plant, you know, if I had a plant right here and one of the leaves was touching this leaf, they'll crawl, you know, from one plant over to the next. But that's how they have to do it, or they have to get on your hands, and then, you know, you transfer them that way. I'm usually, you know, again, I'm not unfamiliar with aphids. I'm pretty good about not handling a plant that's got aphids on it and then going and touching other plants, you know? If I've handled a plant that have aphids on it, I go and wash my hands and I separate that plant, and, you know, I'm careful about that kind of stuff. And yet, here I've got aphids on this thing. Anyway, long story short, what we're going to do is get in there and cut this thing down again. I'm going to cut it below the water surface. See all those aphids all over that stem? So what we're going to do, if I can get my autofocus back on, is cut it right below the water's surface. You can't really see. I'm going to cut it here, but these branches actually are already below the water surface. So not only am I going to cut here, I'm going to cut these branches down here under the water surface. So no part of this plant will be above the water when I'm finished with this. I'm going to take that out and throw it in the yard, get rid of it, and then we will let that start growing back up and out of the top. So that was the main bulk of the point of the video. If you really want to see the before and after, I will show you what the tank looks like once that's been cut out of there, but it's not going to be terribly exciting. So there's your before. And there's your after. Now, normally I wait for a little while after I've done the work in the tank so all the detritus and everything settles down, but in this case I'm doing it immediately after doing the work so that we can see the flow of the water based on all of the detritus we see flowing around in there. So in addition to getting in and chopping out what I had talked about doing, what we've already discussed, you can see the top section there and a couple of the branches that I've cut off, this one here and this one here. Those are outside. I'm going to spray them down, and I'm going to try planting them in my garden because this piece and this piece that I cut off actually had a bunch of roots growing off of it already, so that should easily be able to get put out in the garden. My plant there in the back that I'm going to call a Brazilian sword, it's really just a peace lily, but if you stick it in an aquarium it magically becomes a Brazilian sword. That had a couple of like dead fronds down there in the bottom, so I rooted those out, pulled them out, got that cleaned up a little bit. My Java moss down there was just a huge mat of Java moss, so I pulled all that out. I actually sorted through the Rotella a little bit and got that kind of sorted out. But if you see all these bright green, more leafy looking things, that's all baby temple plant. So I've got that stuff shooting up and growing everywhere in there. And I also wound up getting in and pulling a big chunk of Java off the front of the glass there. It was this whole area right here had a big wad of Java fern. It was really slowing the flow of water down across the front there. And now, if you look at all the detritus in there, you can see that we do actually have some water circulating around. It's not a lot. You know, we're leaving detritus and crud and stuff on the bottom. Even over here, right where the filter is, you can see there's detritus and stuff on the bottom. I still need to get in there and gently vac it up a little bit. But I did get in and pull a lot of the plant out, and that allows for the water to flow. So this is what I got from the Java moss is all at the bottom, and then the Java fern is right there at the top. So as always, I will remind you, I do sell my plants. This stuff's going to go in my grow out bucket in the other room and will be available for sale. So check my email down below. Contact me if you're interested. I do Java fern and water sprite mostly, but we can always see what else we've got available. For example, if you wanted a little bit of that Ludwigia or something like that, I can always pull a piece of this out of a tank and cut it off or something if you're interested. So let me know. Check my email down below. Hit me up. We'll talk. So there you go. There's the before and after. Got rid of those aphids, hopefully once and for good. But I'm not really counting on it because those things are tenacious. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget, this is my 40-gallon purple spotted gudgeon tank. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you real soon in the next one.